the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch.
Truth. No, I don't like you enough. I don't want to spend 5 hours with you.
For years, Ellen DeGeneres ruled daytime television like no one else. Her face lit up every screen. Her brand was built on one promise: be kind. Audiences believed her. Hollywood embraced her. She felt impossible to bring down. But the moment those cameras stopped rolling, a completely different reality existed. Accusations of a poisonous workplace, staff mistreatment, and sexual misconduct tore her carefully built image apart. Now Ricky Gervais is stepping forward with what he knows. He says Ellen wielded far more power than her fans were ever allowed to see. Deeper connections, tighter control, broader reach. And here's where it gets darker. Ricky insists the full story behind Ellen is something most people never came close to uncovering. So how far did that power actually stretch? I went looking for answers. What I discovered will genuinely stop you cold.
It's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show. That's a rough one. She's out there dancing with Kristen Bell, and in the back there's people that are getting up on the rack like this.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life.
Every public figure, at some point, gets reduced to a handful of defining traits, the qualities the world chooses to remember them by. For the better part of her career, Ellen DeGeneres wore 3 of them proudly: warm, witty, and generous. Be kind wasn't just a catchphrase, it was her signature, her promise, her brand. But somewhere beneath that polished image, a very different story was quietly taking shape. Former staff members and close acquaintances began sharing accounts that painted a far less flattering picture. Ricky Gervais himself once suggested that those who truly knew Ellen had seen a side of her the cameras never captured. And to understand how sharp that contrast really was, you have to go all the way back to where it started. Because Ellen's rise wasn't clean or calculated. At 23, she had no roadmap, no plan, just a string of odd jobs that kept the lights on. She painted houses, worked factory floors, poured drinks behind bars, and knocked on doors selling vacuum cleaners. Comedy didn't find her through ambition. It found her through a favor, a group of friends nudging her onto a benefit show stage almost on a whim. She wasn't consumed by it. She didn't burn for it. But somehow, that quiet relationship with the craft became the very thing that carried her forward. By the 1980s, that quiet craft had turned into something undeniable. Ellen was touring stages across the country, building a following one laugh at a time, and in 1982, Showtime named her the funniest person in America.
Night for a young comedian to appear because you're all in a great mood. This is her first appearance on network television, although she can be seen this month on HBO's Young Comedian Special. And she's working at the Improvisation in San Diego this weekend. She'll be at the San Francisco Punchline the 3rd through the 6th of December, and at the Dallas Improv December the 9th through the 6th to 14th. Would you welcome Ellen DeGeneres? Ellen?
Late-night television came calling, and Ellen answered, a defining moment for any comedian chasing the spotlight. By 1986, she had carved her way into sitcoms like Open House and Laurel Hill, and by 1992, HBO handed her a special all her own. Her comedy never relied on shock value or edge, it was warm, observational, and instantly familiar. That authenticity built her something rarer than fame, genuine trust from an audience that kept coming back. Then in 1994, ABC gave her the stage she deserved, a sitcom bearing her own name, where she played a charmingly anxious bookstore owner navigating everyday chaos. The show found its footing fast and won over millions. But just as momentum peaked, everything shifted. In 1997, Ellen did something television had never seen. She came out, both as herself and through her character, in what became known as the puppy episode. The cultural weight of that single broadcast cannot be overstated. she became the first lead character in American television history to openly come out. 42 million people watched it unfold in real time. Oprah Winfrey walked through the frame. The network grew nervous, and cancellation followed, but the moment itself was already permanent, already written into the story of what television could be and who it was finally willing to see.
Oprah Winfrey. I want somebody special, somebody, that I click with. And obviously you didn't click with Richard. Has there ever been anyone you felt you clicked with? And what was his name? Susan?
Despite the triumph, major sponsors, Chrysler, McDonald's, and Coca-Cola, quietly withdrew their backing. Ratings began to slip, and the series was canceled within the year. Coming out publicly took a visible toll on Ellen's professional life. She drifted toward smaller parts in forgettable projects, while her then-partner, actress Anne Heche, watched her own career unravel simply for being at Ellen's side. Heche later opened up about the emotional weight of that chapter, the mental health battles she fought privately, and the deep loneliness that quietly consumed her throughout their time together.
You ever try to reach out and make peace with Ellen?
Every day of my life with her was reaching out to her to make peace. I think it was a very difficult thing for her to trust that I was a woman who could fall in love with a woman without being gay, and I think that was a lot to process. So I tried to make that process as simple as possible by quitting Hollywood, moving to Ojai, growing gardens, starting to write and direct, which I did with her and Sharon Stone, a movie of all things called Misconception. And nothing would satisfy her.
Ellen tried to revive her career with a 2001 sitcom, then followed it up with a 2003 stand-up special called The Beginning, a title that said everything about where she felt she was starting from. That same year, her voice role as Dory in Finding Nemo changed everything. The film pulled in $871 million worldwide, and suddenly, Ellen was everywhere again. Also in 2003, she launched her daytime talk show, and it landed differently than anything else on television. Her warmth felt real. Her energy was magnetic. Around 2.4 million people tuned in every single day. Across 19 seasons, the show collected 33 Daytime Emmy Awards. It became the place for celebrity sit-downs, live performances, and moments that broke the internet. Ellen gave things away. She uplifted people. Brands lined up to be part of it. The image was airtight. But behind that image, something else entirely was playing out. Former employees began describing a workplace built on fear, intimidation, discrimination, quiet cruelty dressed up in positivity. Then the financial side came out. During the pandemic, more than 30 core crew members went weeks without a single word from producers. No update on their hours. No word on their pay. No one asking if they were okay. Occasional calls got through, but answers never did. Then came the detail that truly lit the fuse. While her longtime union crew sat at home, anxious and ignored, Ellen quietly brought in an outside non-union tech company to keep filming from her house. Her crew members were still working. The other 26 were told to expect a 60% pay cut, even as the show expanded from 4 shooting days a week to 5. Other shows handled it completely differently. Jimmy Kimmel Live, Last Week Tonight, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, their crews were kept informed and returned to full pay the moment cameras rolled again. Kimmel reportedly reached into his own pocket to cover stagehands during the shutdown. Ellen had every means to do the same. She was pulling in over $50 million a year from the show alone. Her net worth sat at $330 million. She simply chose not to. Ricky Gervais has been one of the few voices willing to say what many in Hollywood already knew. He spent years pointing at the industry's hypocrisy from award show stages, in interviews, and through his work. Now his focus had shifted to Ellen, and what he described wasn't just a difficult boss. It was something far more calculated. According to Gervais, the "be kind" mantra wasn't a philosophy. It was armor. A public-facing shield constructed to keep scrutiny at a distance. The people inside her world knew the real dynamic. cross her, and your career felt it. Speak out, and you found yourself quietly erased. Ellen's influence, Gervais claims, went well beyond booking guests. She could place someone on the cultural map or quietly ensure they never broke through. Her reach extended into the deeper circles of Hollywood, to people with real protection, real power, and real reasons to keep each other insulated. Gervais has also pointed toward Ellen's connection to Epstein's network, suggesting it wasn't surface level. That she understood more than she ever acknowledged, and that like others in those circles, she used her position to shield herself from the fallout. The silence around her lasted as long as it did for one reason. Power. The kind that doesn't just open doors, it locks them. Around 2 decades back, this had to be somewhere around 2005, there was a young woman at our office who absolutely lived for Ellen. I still remember the pure joy on her face when she finally scored seats to the live show after sitting on that waitlist forever. She went with a whole crew of die-hard fans, and honestly, we were just as thrilled for her. Our boss even gave her a paid day off, said she'd earned it, always so cheerful and dedicated. But when she walked in the next morning, her face told a completely different story. We gathered around and asked how it went. Did she get to meet Ellen? She nodded and said the whole group did. A friend on the staff had pulled them backstage for what should have been the moment of a lifetime. Instead, Ellen made it brutally clear they had no business being there, treating them like an intrusion rather than fans who'd waited years for this. The staff member was torn apart right in front of everyone, humiliated for simply trying to do something kind. Our girl couldn't hold it together. She broke down crying on the spot, and from that moment forward, the woman she'd once worshipped became someone she could no longer stand. Those who loudly announce their own goodness rarely possess it. Truly good people never feel the need to announce their goodness to anyone. Her appeal never quite made sense to me. Every guest left the conversation visibly unsettled. Their words were constantly cut short, their thoughts left hanging, and she seemed to thrive on pushing people right to the edge.
Rumors Ellen was far from nice were out there for years. What was your reaction to the toxic workplace controversy?
I felt that it was in the hands of the people who needed to speak their truth. I hadn't spoken to Ellen in years, and I feel that the stories that need to be listened to are being told.
Did the stuff about her being emotionally abusive to her staff ring true to you?
Emotionally abusive is a container for our actions that we've not healed. And unfortunately, the abusive environment was something that I understood.
Beneath the laughter, the choreographed dances, and the spread love messaging lives something far darker of fear, control, and enforced silence. But Ricky Gervais believed that was barely scratching the surface. Ellen DeGeneres didn't just have fame. She had leverage. The kind that shaped careers before they began. The kind that buried stories before they spread. The kind that kept people quiet for years. And for a long time, it worked. The world watched a warm, generous woman hand out gifts and hug celebrities on live television. The image was flawless. Until it wasn't. Toxic environment claims, staff mistreatment, sexual misconduct accusations, ties to Epstein's inner world. The cracks became impossible to ignore. In 2022, the show died. A show that once pulled 2.4 million viewers every single day. A show decorated with 33 daytime Emmys. A show that placed her among television's highest earners. It didn't end with confetti. It ended with consequences. So how did it last this long? Ricky Gervais had an answer. The machine protected her. The same machine that shields the powerful across Hollywood. The same machine that buries victims. That smothers uncomfortable realities. That turns away when turning away is easier. But machines break down. Voices are getting louder. Hidden stories are finding daylight. And the untouchable are finally being touched. Ellen may have cracked first, but the wall behind her is fracturing too. What exactly did Ellen DeGeneres know about Epstein? How many voices did she bury? What pressure will finally force the system to break open? And the question that lingers longest, who gets exposed next? Who is still performing behind a perfected persona? Who still has powerful hands covering for them? Ricky Gervais has been whispering these truths into a microphone for years. They laughed at him, shut doors on him, dismissed him. And he was right. Every single time. Because truth doesn't expire. It may hibernate for years, even decades. But eventually, the performance collapses, and the world finally sees the face behind the mask. Drop your thoughts below. Do you believe what Ricky Gervais has been saying about Ellen? Was her entire to be kind identity just a calculated performance? And who do you think the system is still protecting right now?